Welcome to the breakdown. Today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 largest restaurant chains around the world. Now we're going to be taking a look at this based on locations. Maybe in a future video we'll do one based on the revenue of the different restaurants out there. But today we're going to look at the top 10 largest restaurant chains based on locations. It'd be interesting to see how this breaks out in the future though, because some of these restaurants have already announced plans to downgrade. As best I can, this is an accurate list as of the time I'm recording this. And we'll talk about some of the restaurant chains that are closing locations and kind of shuffling things up as 2020 ends up being a rather interesting year for the restaurant industry. First though, before we get into it, do me a big favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. Hopefully we can help you learn something new. Our goal here in the channel is to share some information, help you discover some new things. No matter how trivial the information may be, you never know when that information may come in handy. So let's get into it. Number one, Subway. Now Subway is the largest chain in the world of restaurants with over 41,600 locations as best I can tell. It originally founded in 1965 as Pete's Super Submarine Shop, was later renamed in 1968 into the Subway we know it now. Since then they've grown into the largest sandwich shop and the largest restaurant in the world with locations over 100 countries. Now Subway has announced plans to close some underperforming stores as they try to reshuffle, try to focus on more profitable location types and more. You see this often, for instance, a restaurant chain will partner with a supermarket and after a while they say, hey, you know, that partnership isn't really being as profitable as we thought, it's not worth the time and effort, and they start closing them. Now we're seeing this with Subway and other kind of looking down the line saying, hey, in 2020, what locations did well, what ones are not? Can we put our energy into productive locations and not into others? I think that's what they're doing here. I don't think Subway's in any particular danger right now. They're still expanding worldwide. They're definitely, though, taking a moment to reshuffle the deck and decide what's profitable and what's not. All right, let's get into number two. This is probably the one most people thought would be the largest restaurant chain in the world, McDonald's, with 38,695 locations, best I can tell. Originally formed in the 1940s, if you probably watched the movie based on it, you may know some of the history of how it became a national chain. But did you know that McDonald's is the second largest employer of people in the United States with 1.7 million employees in the United States alone? We're not even talking about their international locations, which they're everywhere. But it's second only to Walmart's 2.3 million employees within the United States. McDonald's is not just a huge restaurant, it's a huge employer. It's a huge owner of land across the United States. It's quite impressive. You think of Subway and others, a lot of their locations are actually rented. They're in grocery stores, they're in strip malls, they're in all kinds of different places. McDonald's actually owns the land for most of their locations, and that makes them an absolutely massive owner of property across the United States. Be very interesting. McDonald's, according to reports, is continuing to expand. While you may see a location here or there close, overwhelmingly McDonald's is adding additional locations, expanding both here in the United States and worldwide. All right. Number three, if you like coffee, you probably heard of this brand. Starbucks has been a leader in the world of coffee, originally launching in 1971. You probably know it from someplace on the West Coast they like to talk a lot about. But Starbucks has become not just a leader in coffee, but in food and other things. They're even moving into beer and wine sales with the Starbucks evening program, trying to take some of their locations that, to grow the evening business by turning it into kind of a bar with appetizers and alcohol. And we'll see how that plays out in the long run. Best I can tell, they're still kind of toying with the idea. They haven't fully committed to cancel it or fully committed to expand that program yet so far. But Starbucks was a very large chain that kind of set this gold standard now for what coffee shops should be. Even though a lot of people may hate them for maybe making coffee more of a commercial product, some people complain about, it's no deny that coffee has benefited from Starbucks' growth as more and more people become huge coffee fanatics thanks to the company. Be interesting to see how this plays out. Starbucks is aggressively opening a lot of small locations partnered in grocery stores, airports, and more. as they are expanding their standalone locations with drive-thrus. Starbucks is continuing to be aggressive. We'll see how that plays out in the years to come. All right, number 4. This one may surprise you. KFC. I knew KFC was big, but I was surprised to see they have 24,000 locations. Best I can tell, 24,104 locations. And it was originally called Sanders Court and Cafe. Didn't get the actual KFC name until quite a few years later, until a year later, I should say. Until quite a few years later, in 1952. So originally launched in 1930, didn't become the KFC we know it today as Kentucky Fried Chicken until 1952. Has grown to over 24,000 locations, and in 2020, they did something kind of interesting a lot of people weren't happy about. For years and years, they had the finger licking good slogan campaign. While in 2020, with the pandemic going on, they decided to drop that name and to be a little bit more sensitive to the current world and the current pandemic climate, we'll call it. So very interesting. Restaurants always trying to be socially aware, be socially responsible as they offer it. They say finger licking good may not be the best slogan for 2020. KFC's continue to grow. No real mass closures or mass expansions I could find in the works. So I'll expect KFC to continue its move down its way to profitability. Now number 5, Burger King, with over 18,800 locations around the world. Originally launched back in 1953 as Insta Burger King, but later was renamed in 1954 after the original company ran into trouble and was purchased from some franchisees out of Miami who renamed the company to the Burger King we know it today. Since then, Burger King has continued to grow worldwide, but over half their locations are still here in the United States. They don't have nearly the international presence of some of the other companies like McDonald's or Subway. That's probably why they're only at number 5. Burger King may surprise you to be behind locations like KFC and Starbucks, but they're continuing to grow and expand. As always, some locations may not make it, others are. We didn't see a mass exodus of Burger Kings happening right now. Burger King is very committed, they say, to growth and expansion. Be interested to see how they hold out in the future. Will they grow from number 5, or will they maintain their place as the 5th largest restaurant in the world? All right, number 6, Pizza Hut. One of the founders in the idea of a national pizza chain. Pizza Hut now has 18,703 locations, but is intending to close quite a few. Originally launched back in 1958, in Wichita, Kansas, it became well known as a both dine-in and delivery restaurant chain. Now in 2020, they're moving away from the sit-down restaurants. Increasingly, Pizza Hut is closing sit-down restaurants and moving to delivery-only locations that have turned out to be more profitable. In 2020, people seem less interested in going to a Pizza Hut to sit down and eat a pizza, as that just doesn't seem to be people's interest anymore. Even pre-pandemic, the sit-down restaurant thing for Pizza Hut was seeing a decline in popularity as most people moved to delivery only. Now Pizza Hut is responding by opening smaller, cheaper stores that take fewer employees, cost less to build and less to maintain. We'll see how that pans out, but they're very committed to growth, just growth in the home delivery market and pickup versus sit-down restaurants. All right, number 7, Domino's is close on the heels of Pizza Hut with 17,020 locations. Domino's first launched as Domi-Nick's Pizza. Later, one of the owners had a falling out and demanded they change the name of the restaurant to something else. According to lore, I guess we'll call it, one of the delivery drivers suggested the name Domino's and it stuck, and they renamed all the locations to Domino's Pizza several years later, and they picked up some additional locations. Originally launched here in Michigan, I've had the cool honor of touring the Domino's farm. It's a really cool headquarters complex here, not far from Ann Arbor, Michigan. It has also kind of changed its focus a little bit. While Pizza Hut's moving away from dine-in, Domino's is moving away from pizza. While they still sell pizza as their main focus, they want other brands, other items, sandwiches, and more to be a bigger focus of the company, so they're dropping the name from Domino's Pizza just down to Domino's. we'll see how that works out. For most people, I think they still know it as Domino's Pizza, but if you notice, new signage does not say pizza anymore, just says Domino's. All right, number 8, Dunkin', also known as Dunkin' Donuts, has 12,500 locations and has dropped the name Donuts from its name. Yes, Dunkin' is looking to be known more for a coffee place to try to compete with Starbucks as a main rival for a coffee joint nationwide. Originally launched in 1984 as Kettle, was later renamed to Dunkin' Donuts in the 1950s, and now is following Domino's example, trying to move away from its reputation as a pure donut place as more people are health conscious, eating fewer donuts, and move into, hey, we sell a wide range of products. Also, a lot of branding mixed with Baskin-Robbins, who they're a partner with, where you see Dunkin' and Baskin-Robbins in the same location, allowing them to sell coffee, donuts in the morning, ice cream in the evening to expand sales in the same location. All right, number 9. This one actually surprised me how low it was. Taco Bell only has 7,363 locations. It's become quite a staple in America, but doesn't seem to maybe have quite the same international reach as some of its larger competitors. Founded back in 1962 in California, Glenn Bell, I hope I said that right, was the founder of Taco Bell and helped grow the company. What I was amazed by is actually for a while, Taco Bell was owned by Pepsi. PepsiCo purchased the company back in 1978, only to later spin it off into its own entity as it looks to restructure the company. But yes, Taco Bell at one point was a Pepsi company, which is probably why Pepsi is still the drink sold at Taco Bell to this day. But Taco Bell has continued to expand. It's being aggressive, moving into new markets with breakfast, for example, and more, has made it the 9th largest restaurant chain in the world. All right, number 10 really surprised me. Hunt's Brothers Pizza. Now, you're probably saying, what's a Hunt's Brothers Pizza if you live in some parts of the world? Like I do here in Western Michigan, not a very big place known for it, but throughout the United States and throughout the world, they have a large presence inside of gas stations, arenas, schools, and more, where they sell pizza partnered with other locations. Now, I think I have seen a few Hunt's Brothers Pizza that was more of a standalone operation, but traditionally, the pizza locations are partnered in with gas stations, arenas, schools, and more to be in food courts and more right there. Instead of trying to go out on their own to be a standalone, they have been able to become very successful in these partnerships to the point where they're actually larger than Papa John's, Little Caesars, and other bigger named, or I should say more well-recognized names in the world of pizza. But Hunt's Brothers Pizza has 7,300 locations, dwarfing the size of some of their better-known pizza competitors. It'll be interesting to see how that works in the long run, if maybe we'll see companies like Papa John's and Pizza Hut try to move more into that realm to compete with Hunt's Brothers more. Or if they're all going to say, hey, you have that market, we have our own market. All right, that's it for today. Top 10 largest restaurant chains in the world based on locations. Anything on this list surprise you? I won't lie, Hunt's Brothers did surprise me. I've seen them before, maybe because they're not very big where I live. That surprised me. But to see that they were bigger than Papa John's and Little Caesars definitely was a shocker to me. Let me know what surprises you on this list. Or maybe does it surprise you that the number 1 location has 41,000 plus locations, but number 10 only has 7,000 and change. Big difference there very quickly between the very top tier of restaurant chains and even some of the other larger chains on the market right now. All right, that's it for today. I hope you all have a fantastic day. I'll be back tomorrow, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here, and hopefully we can help you learn something new.